sure you're ready to go. Thank you for being right there and ready to roll. As soon as you sit down, I'll start your time.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I live at St. Clair and Bathurst. I don't live in the area. I do go there. I shop there. I visit friends there. I go to the doctor there. I go to the movies. So I do know the area. It is very time-consuming and difficult to make a deputation, as you know, or difficult to devote the time to doing that. And a lot of people aren't heard. So I decided to prepare for my deputation that I would go up to Yonge and Sheppard and walk north and talk to people. And originally I was going to try and videotape them and give you their responses, but I quickly realized on a cold, windy day, no one is going to want to linger that long. So I just asked for their responses. Obviously not a statistical survey, but just letting you know, about half of the people I spoke to were in support. A few said they didn't know enough to make a decision, and then a few were opposed. So a lot of people have already talked about why they support this. So I support this. I'm here to support Transform Yonge. But I did want to talk about the opposition because I think it's important, and I think it's important to hear what people are saying when they're opposed. So the main reason for the opposition was congestion, like people are talking about. How can you take 6 lanes down to 4 lanes and not have traffic nightmare? But the thing is that studies time and time again show that congestion does not increase when you take away lanes. There's this thing called the disappearing effect. I'm not a transportation engineer, but there are many who have found this, who have talked about this. So you don't have cars piling up on top of each other. They dissipate. Drivers choose alternate routes, alternate times, and alternate modes. So that was the main concern that I heard from people. When I asked them if they would like a main street, they said, yeah, they would, but they just don't want congestion. So it's not that they're opposed to main streets, they're opposed to congestion. Small business, someone said, we're not taking care of the little guy, we need to watch out for small business. I absolutely depend on local business. I don't think there should be this division between pedestrians, like this imaginary thing between local business and me as a resident. I need a place to go as much as I need a safe way to get there. Final opposition I heard was about the spending. Why is the city spending money on something we don't need? So the first response to that is, as far as I understand, the city will be spending millions of dollars in this area, no matter what happens. Now, this compromise that people are talking about is $71 million, $20 million more than Transform Yonge, and it will please nobody. It's not addressing the real issue. So, city staff are experts in transportation and planning. They look at the numbers, they look at the facts, they look at the evidence, and they make their recommendation to you, the councillors. You, councillors, are experts in communication, and you've been elected because of your vision and because of your leadership. That's your strength. So I believe if you have a vision for a more livable city, you need to listen to your staff, and you need to communicate and understand what they're saying, and you need to communicate those benefits to the public. And then I think we can all work together and agree that, yes, North York should have its own downtown. Yes, yeah. North York should have its own Main Street.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I'll see if there's any questions for you. There's a question for you from Councillor Mamalady.
So you live at St. Clair and Bathurst. So how long have you been there?
17 years. I've been in Toronto for 40 years, so I'm here as a Toronto member, like everyone.
Okay, so you've seen St. Clair's, we may disagree, but
probably, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, no, and I lived through it because there was a family unit that we owned on St. Clair, and we had to let it go because of the transformation, the LRT. Business got shut down almost right away. In fact, there was no business at all after that. So I'm not sure how you feel about that. Do you find there's more business on St. Clair after the LRT down the middle of the road?
I don't want to use your time because I think they want to talk about North York, but I will say I'm a resident. It's so much safer for me. It's so much better for me. And I go to local restaurants, toy store, bakery. There's thriving
Yeah.
business. So I don't want to debate it with you because it's not a good use of your time or theirs.
No, but you came here, and the first thing you said is you live there, and you think
Right.
that this community should accept what the councillors wants to pass and what staff seem to want to pass.
Right.
So I get to ask the questions with respect to your
Sure.
experiences. If you think that that's a
Fair
good
enough.
experience, that's fine, I'm taking that in, right? What do you say to the residents that feel there should be an election on this issue in October, to delay it for 9 months to see whether or not Councillor Fillion is actually right in his feeling that people in that community will want it? In other words, a mandate given to a particular person to push it through or not push it through.
I don't think I'm an expert on this to say whether I agree with you. I do think we need to hear the community. I do think there's been a lot of work done, and I don't generally think delay is good, and I don't think delay for political purposes is necessarily the best thing. But I understand what you're saying, and yes, I think, I don't want to shut anybody's voice down, but I think
Okay, so
that we
let me
should
ask you
do
a
it.
question.
Yeah.
If on St. Clair, someone came along, the councillor of the day, whoever that is, came along and said, I am going to take away all of the LRT. It's going, done, gone. Do you believe that that councillor should have the mandate to do it in the middle of a term? Or do you think that councillor should introduce it to the community to see whether or not they want that councillor to push that agenda through? It's your community. Would you want someone to just eliminate it because they just feel like it?
If someone one day said that, of course I would say, we need to have a process around this. We need to talk about it. I think there has been a process around this.
Not a political one. And that's been my point and the community's point. There hasn't been a political process. There's been a bureaucratic process, and there's been some effort in having some meetings, yes, but there hasn't been a political process.
Okay.
Would you want a political process in the scenario I gave you, or would you just let somebody just rail it through?
Because you're asking the election, I'm running for mayor and I want a more livable city. That's the election. I think the vision of the whole city is what's important. That's what we need to talk about. But individual ward issues and decisions on what we're doing needs to be part of a process that the city has agreed on.
Okay, thank you.